have a classmate from Harvard, Sophia knows him, Rubin, and he emailed me. He's like, oh, I got to take a break from my very stressful job. I'm going to visit Hawaii. And I was like, yay, you're going to come. So we started to make plans. So we're using all his frequent flyer miles, and we're going to go to another island, get a cheap hotel room with 2 separate beds. We're going to use the frequent flyer miles to pay for stuff because neither one of us have money. And then I thought, hey, I'm a fellow at Harvard. This guy's a foreign policy expert. He used to be program director at World Bank. Why are we bunking it together in a free dorm room? Like, we don't even have money to pay for separate hotel rooms? And just when I was thinking that, I hear God's voice in my head. And sometimes it sounds like Morgan Freeman. And I hear God saying to me, that's not the point. And right when God says that to me, he puts an image in my head. And, my life here in Hawaii after getting my master's degree is that I do so much pro bono work, and I'm so poor that when I visit the other island to visit my adopted family who live on a farm, I have to live in a tent because I don't have money for the Airbnb. And then my elderly auntie, she's the cat lady who has dementia. When you get older and you don't really trust anyone to come into your house, you know what I mean? So she's been that way for 15 years. So I have to be the one that goes in and cleans up, very old building, and I have to clean all the stinky, crappy cat boxes, and they don't have a normal sink. So I have to go outside in the bushes with the fleas and hose things down. And I'm thinking, I could pay someone $50 to do this if I had $50. And Jesus could turn water to wine, but he couldn't pay 3 shekels for him and his disciples to sleep in someone's yurt. They slept on the ground. And I hear God again telling me, that's not the point. And I keep telling God, it's so cheap. It's so cheap to have comfort. You know what I mean? I can do better work if I'm not sleeping on the ground. $20, I can take an Uber instead of the bus. And then I hear God again. That's not the point. And the point is that Jesus had to sleep on the ground with his disciples, not in a yurt. He had to bond with them, like kind of like when you're in the army. And I'm sure that at some point, remember in the Bible, there was this rich guy. He comes up to Jesus and he asks Jesus, how do I get into the kingdom of God? And Jesus tells him, give all your money to the poor and come follow me. And I'm sure, like you see it in my head, the disciples rolling their eyes back, thinking like, why did you tell the rich guy to give his money to the poor? Are we not poor? Like, hello. Like Jesus had access to wealth. Rich people were always like, can I donate? He would be like, not to me, to the hungry masses yearning to be free. And the disciples were back there like, we are the devoted disciples. Sleeping bag, yoga mat, basics. You know what I mean? Jesus had a lot of rich people that wanted to be his disciples. And then he told them to give their money away. He goes, we don't need your money. We just need you. And the disciples were like, what did he just say? I mean, okay, so if you don't need money, Jesus, I get it. But how about there's thousands of people following you. They all hungry. They all gave up their money because you're so stupid. How about this? How about political clout? One of them, I'm sure, can get us a permit for a tent. or a building for us to have a ministry in. How about health insurance? Obamacare? Dude, basics. Basics. And Jesus's disciples didn't have basics. And yet, Jesus had access to money and wealth. Why couldn't they have the minimal amount of comfort? No, I was asking God. God shows me this picture of the Navy SEALs. I was like, oh, Lord, your son, Jesus, like the Navy SEALs. He's like, And he showed me the U.S. military has trillions of dollars, but they take their most elite warriors and they make them sleep in the mud. And there's sort of a reason for this kind of communal, dirt poor, huddling together in a cave lifestyle. And according to God, it doesn't have to do with money. It has to do with some form of camaraderie. And if we're not in the trenches together, fighting for a common cause and sharing a common struggle, together we're being broken down day by day. Then we can't unite. We can't become one body, one mind, with one heart. And this type of unification is the most powerful bond whose spirit cannot be broken by the dark forces of the world. When you're fighting for good, all of us have to unite to become a single, solid force of good. There are groups, there are families, there are teams, which are like tribes or posses or gangs, and then there are the chosen. The disciples were chosen, not because each one of them was a whole person and a great leader, but because each one was broken and flawed in some unfixable way. And together, they fitted together like a puzzle piece and became an unstoppable force. God needed people who would uniquely fit together to become one unstoppable force. And I think about us. I think that here we are, collectively together, the 12 of us. We don't have that much money, but we're chosen for this ministry. And I thought of this. This is all I think about. I think about my superstar clients. I service billionaires. Why aren't they in my church bankrolling my ministry? In the past, they gave me thousands of dollars to advise them for a couple hours. I'm offering it them now for free on a weekly basis. And I don't get that. And when I asked God that, God said, that's not the point. I'm like, it's not. God said, the ones who are here are chosen. Vicky, I'm choosing them. So, I just looked at God blankly. And I asked him, well, do you want to add like one billionaire to the chosen and we can all fund the trip for the rest of the disciples to go to Hawaii? And God just looked at me blankly. And then I told God, I'm not Jesus. I know you want him to mentor me. We have different skill sets. He's like the miracle healer. I'm a coach. I don't give people fish. I teach people how to fish. Jesus was in Galilee. There was a lot of hippie campsites. It was kind of, I'm in Honolulu. You can't be homeless here. And God's just looking at me. No comment. And finally, God just murmurs to himself, I'm choosing your disciples. Sometimes when God talks to me, I feel like he's sending microwaves into my brain to liquefy it so that I can absorb information. And it sort of came to me suddenly that he's cherry picking each one of you. He picked you. It's so crazy because I don't know the value of my own ministry. Neither did the disciples at the time of their most intense growth and learning. They didn't know that. You don't know that. I don't even know it. And as a ministry, we're sort of in this incubation time together. We're being sort of infused with this essential wisdom, and we're going to undergo a series of intense growth spurts together. It took the disciples 3 years to grow together before they launched their ministry out into the world. And I was thinking, since we have the internet and they don't, we would do it faster than them. And I wanted to ask you what you all thought about that.